Now, the modular programming is a pretty decent way to optimize our programs furthermore. So let's have a look at the syntax. So let's erase this off. Let's perhaps let's erase this off, and let's start off with function. And we need a name in here, so I wrote something like an identifier. Now the identifier is essentially the vocabulary that we use in terms of programming. So a human being has a name, but when we try to translate that into a programming perspective, we won't say a human being has a name. We will say that a human being has an identifier. So you might have seen ID cards or identification cards. So that's the concept that's used behind those cards. So that's how we conceptualize a programming construct into theoretical or hypothetical way. So an identifier is essentially the name that you will place for that function. So let's name this. Let's actually use something like so before we can go with the name, we need to decide what will this function have, or what will this function do. So our function, we will actually repeat that same thing. Our function will print out a list of the navigation items. So we have also got this pages. This is essentially a navigation items, but just for the simplicity's sake, I've used the name pages. So we can also use something like we are going to, or we can think of something like we are going to, sorry for that, we are going to write or list down the names of the pages inside our website onto the home page. We're going to display the list of the page on the home page for our users to see. So this will be a relatively simple function. So all we need to do is that let's copy this and let's erase this off. And let's place this inside our function. So remember to place appropriate indentation before your code, so it becomes easier for other programmers and for yourself even to read. So whenever you place indentation, it's actually quite easier. It becomes a readable code in terms of programming. So that's a best practice. So you should actually adopt those practices of when you write programs. Now we have got a list inside our function. We haven't yet named the function. So let's actually do that at the last segment, or we'll place a name in here at the last part of our video when we are done with the writing all the functionality for this function. So we have got the list of the pages. Now we want to show, or we want to iterate through this list of the pages, and we want to show all these names on our home page or on our landing page so that the user can see on their browser. So let's use a while loop maybe, or we can actually go for a for loop. That's more of a compact way of writing your code. So we just need to define the count. We just need to call the count function, and we are going to echo out, like previously, we're going to echo out the individual elements on the web page. So let's add a BR tag, and I guess we're good to go. Yep. So let's save this. Now it's time we okay, I made a mistake, I guess. It's time we actually name this function. So let's call this navigation list. So try to make your names as descriptive as possible. So that whenever you come back to your code after 1 month, or maybe after 6 months, or maybe after 1 year, so you immediately understand what you have written. And it's also a best practice whenever you pass on your code to other programmers. If you write descriptive names, other programmers in your teams will be able to understand your code easily. So let's save this. Now, let's get back to the browser. Let's refresh the page. So you don't see anything happening in here, although we have actually we have done the same thing as before, but the difference is that we have this time we have included everything inside a function. Likewise, as I've told you inside when I've conceptualized this example, I have told you that a function is essentially a package, a box. So inside that box, I have placed a list, and inside that same box, I have defined a functionality, and I've told the compiler that you need to